Hello and welcome to another episode of the Hellion Rebellion Rock and Roll Association brought to you by Hollygeist. We have some rock soldiers to honor tonight, and we have a rock general to honor tonight. I think you know where I'm going with that one. Um, the first individual we lost this week is a man who goes by the name of Owen Gray. He's not somebody I'm familiar with other than maybe his name. And he was a rock steady, ska, a little bit of reggae sort of artist from Jamaica. And according to Jamaican music history, he's often considered probably the first vocal singer celebrity of that island or nation. The second rock soldier we have to honor tonight is really more of a jazz soldier, is Chuck or Charles Mangione. I couldn't name you a song, but I've heard him quite a few times. He played the trumpet. Wonderful, wonderful jazz artist. I don't really collect a lot of jazz, but he was a legend in his own right. And then finally, the one and only Ozzy Osbourne. So, a couple days ago, I actually did a video just solely dedicated to Ozzy Osbourne. And after doing the video, doing my sad attempts at editing and watching the video, I finally uploaded, and YouTube said, nope, you cannot do Ozzy Osbourne. So there's you another artist that you are not going to get away with playing on YouTube without permission. However, I do think you can do Black Sabbath. Ozzy, what hasn't been said? I mean, my heart goes out to Sharon and his kids, her kids. My heart goes out even more to all the millions of fans around the world, just like me, who grew up with this guy. He was the grandfather of heavy metal. This one really gets me out of all of my favorite musicians who have passed. Even though somebody like Kurt Cobain might be more my age, and I might be more in tune with, I grew up even as a small child knowing who Ozzy Osbourne was, and his solo records are some of the first hard rock heavy metal records I ever bought. In fact, other than Alice Cooper, I think this is the one that is going to hit me the hardest for the rest of my days to come. Ozzy, to me, was my Elvis Presley. He was my John Lennon. He is going to be greatly missed. So let's go ahead and do a moment of silence for Owen Gray, Chuck Mangione, and Ozzy Osbourne. All right, may Owen Gray, Chuck Mangione, and Ozzy Osbourne fly high on the crazy train all the way to heaven. Mama, they're coming home. All right, so Tonight we're going to talk about a metal band that I've always kind of admired, or always have admired, called Choke. There are many bands called Choke. It was hard to find information on this particular one. Choke, it comes from Lake Charles, Louisiana. They would get started around 1992, 1993. Their first record would come out in 1994, and then I want to say their second record would come out in 99. Oh, well, shoot, this is their second record. Yeah, 1999. I got it. Don't get this Choke confused with all the other Chokes. One really famous Choke is actually from Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. So that's probably the only other Choke that's actually kind of famous. Again, this is the Louisiana Choke. This Choke plays a style of metal that's often called Louisiana swamp metal. It's a sludgy, doomy version of metal. When people say Louisiana swamp metal, what they're referring to are bands like Crowbar, I Hate God, you could put Acid Bath in there, Exhorder. They're talking about those kinds of bands. Choke is a part of that early 90s Louisiana swamp metal thing. I don't think they ever got to the fame that they wanted to get to like those other bands did, because they've never signed to a record label. They're still independent, and all those other bands were from New Orleans, where these guys aren't. You want to go see bands, you go to New Orleans, if you're in Louisiana. Choke is actually still around, even though they only put out 2 records in the 90s. Throughout the 2000s, they've put out some songs here and there on compilations, some live stuff, and they still play live, apparently. I was kind of shocked to read that. In fact, I was shocked to even find any information on this band. What else can I say? They're a wonderful band. Talking about Crowbar and Soylent Green and Exhorder and all those bands. Choke's a little bit different, and that's another thing, that they're a little bit different than those sludgy New Orleans bands, because Choke wasn't afraid to do new metal. Like, there's moments where you can hear them kind of go off into a Deftones sort of thing, or they weren't afraid to do a Marilyn Manson riff, or maybe a little Tool, Alice in Chains or something. So they did combine some of that newer metal into their music, whereas those other bands were really heavily influenced by Black Sabbath, Pentagram, all that slower doomy metal that came out in the 70s and early 80s. Trouble would have been another one. So that's all I have. I think Choke is a great band. I still listen to this on occasion, so let's go ahead and feast on some Choke. there you go. Choke from Lake Charles, Louisiana. All of these songs just run into each other. I hope you liked it. It's kind of hard to be real excited about anything since my man Oz, the Ozman's gone. But we're gonna keep on trucking, and remember, here on the Helling Rebellion show, rock and roll is our religion and our law. Thank you, and I'll see you next time.